Hi, storytellers. This is part 2 of our new Sound Judgment Quick Hit series on 6 storytelling strategies for hooking your audience and keeping them with you. If you listened to part 1 on sound vision, you know that we're releasing a full episode covering all 6 strategies next week. But first, we've broken them down into bite-sized chunks. Today, a little bit of wisdom on structure and how you can use it to be more creative and more productive. As a reminder, all 6 strategies come from today's best audio storytellers, but they're great for every kind of creator. So stick around, writers, public speakers, screenwriters, and video producers, and of course, podcasters. This is Sound Judgment, where we investigate just what it takes to become a beloved storyteller by pulling apart one episode at a time together. I'm Elaine Appleton Grant. There's nothing like having a structure for your content to help you create more easily while also instilling habits in your audience. Maybe your favorite host always asks the same lightning round questions, so you always stick around until the end because those answers are so much fun. That's structure. Structure also provides creative constraints. In other words, it gives us guardrails for what to include, when, and how, and equally important, what to leave out. In their show about dead celebrities, Famous and Gravy co-hosts Amit Kapoor and Michael Osborne employ one of the most tightly built structures I've noticed in a podcast. The result is a compelling blend of the profound and hilarious. In each episode, Amit and Michael ask each other the same 12 questions about each dead celebrity. They've drawn a blueprint that makes it easy for them to wrestle raw content into meaning that sticks. This blueprint, this creative constraint, makes producing easier. They don't need to script the show because they always know where they're headed. It's their answers that make it fun and illuminating. You never know what's coming. In fact, they barely talk to each other before they tape. They research the celebrity separately and draw their own conclusions. Their 11th question out of a dozen is always this: would you want this dead celebrity's life? Regular listeners now are in the habit of listening to the end because they want to hear how Michael and Amit will answer that interesting question and whether or not they'll agree. This question leads to some lively discussions.
Betty White.
What do you got? I mean, what's the case against?
Is there such a thing as too much gratitude? And that's where I question it.
So that's the case. Based on everything we've talked about, Nick, the big question is, do you want Oliver Sacks's life?
It's tough, but I think I would take it because he had the influence he was always seeking. He got to do the thing that he was made for on this earth. The reason why it's a qualified...
Based on everything we've talked about, do you want this life?
I like Leonard Cohen.
I don't think that the depths of pain he felt are familiar to me. But man, that he found what looks like salvation, the hope that represents not just to other people, but that's something that comes from the inside out. So I'm a yes, man. I'm a yes. I want this life.
It's so important to have that and have people be vocal about that so others...
By the way, if you're wondering what the 12th and final question is, you'll just have to follow Famous and Gravy. It's one thing to hear new strategies and another to try them out in community. We're solving that problem with a handful of new, affordable, interactive workshops. We just held one on mastering the art of the interview that went over like gangbusters. We're doing it again soon. We're also holding workshops on the 6 strategies for creating unforgettable work and on the thing that gives us all headaches, how to curate great guests and what it takes to be a phenomenal guest yourself. That one's going to be really fun because I will share with you how NPR producers book guests. So check out our current and future workshops at podcastallies.com/workshops. That's podcastallies.com/workshops. You don't need to jot that down, though. The link is in the show notes. I can't wait to see you there. Thanks for joining me for the second in my 6-part series on storytelling strategies for hooking new listeners and keeping them with you. Number 3 covers scenes, what I call the backbone of audience engagement. Scenes are obviously a staple of video, narrative podcasts, long-form narrative articles, and of course books, but you should also be intentional about using them for interview shows and public speaking. Everybody loves a story. For shows and resources mentioned in this series, see our show notes at soundjudgmentpodcast.com. And if you're enjoying this series, please share it with a friend. Sound Judgment is produced by Podcast Allies. I'm Elaine Appleton Grant. See you in part 3.